Hi, this is Mike Morin, and thank you for tuning into this video about the fabulous Meri Goyette. You know, Mary has been an undeniable asset to the Nashua arts community for decades, supporting artists and arts initiatives. Her impact can be seen throughout Nashua. So my friends at City Arts Nashua decided that this year's Art Awards virtual format is the perfect opportunity to share a little more about Mary with the larger community. So this video is a glimpse into the amazing person and arts patron that Mary truly is, directly from those who know her best.
I'm Tara Kalish, and I first met Meri Goyette in the spring of 2018 when I was organizing the Meri Goyette Arts Awards luncheon for City Arts Nashua. I was brand new to Nashua, and I was just learning about not only the city, but about the arts in the city. And I came from an arts background. I came from a fundraising background in the arts. And I was so inspired when I first met you, Mary. Your passion and your ability to bring people together and bring artists to the community, it just really spoke to me. And it means so much to me that we have a patron like you and a role model to those of us who care about the arts and who care about public access to the arts. Because so many of us know how the arts make our lives better and they can make our community better. And having someone like Mary spearhead so many projects throughout the years in Nashua, that's a real gift. And it's something that we should all be inspired by and something that we should all strive to emulate. So thank you, Mary, for the inspiration you serve to all of us, for the example you serve to all of us. And not only are you so talented at bringing people together in a meaningful way for the arts, but you do it with such a great attitude. You're fun, you're always ready with a laugh, and that's really the way it needs to be. We all need to come together to support the arts, and we all need to do it with the enthusiasm and sense of humor that Mary has. So thank you for all you've done for us and for what you've done for me with just your inspiration and your guidance. Thanks, Mary.
Greetings from Prague, Mary. You know you're my first and you'll always be my favorite arts person in Nashua. I love you and I hope to see you soon.
Hello, my name is Bonnie Guercio. I'm an artist in Nashua. I have a studio in the Picker Building. I'm also a board member of City Arts Nashua and the National International Sculpture Symposium that's in its 13th year. This organization was started by Meri Goyette. It would be impossible to describe the depth and breadth of the contributions Mary has made to the arts community in Nashua and actually to the arts in general. She's an amazing person, and I'm not even going to try to describe all the things she's done. Those of us who have worked with her or are friends with her have lots of Mary stories. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell you a Mary story. A number of years ago, Mary won the Governor's Arts Award for Individual Arts Patron. On the day of the ceremony, a bunch of us met up at Mary's house. We piled into a couple of cars and we went to the ceremony to watch Mary get her award. During the evening, Mary was congenial, gregarious, sparkling, making everybody feel good. When the ceremony was over, we all piled back into the cars and we went back to Mary's house. As we were all getting ready to get into our cars to go home, all of a sudden Mary looks at us and says, "Well, hell, let's just have a party." And we figured, why not? So in we go. Mary runs to the kitchen. She starts opening cupboards and cabinets and drawers and putting food on plates and pushing wine at people. And we had a lovely evening. We talked, we laughed. Mary told us about her new ideas for the arts in Nashua and how they were going to happen and who was going to help her. And we just had a wonderful time. And as we were all kind of getting ready to go home, Mary says, "Let's take a selfie." Now, those of you who know Mary well know that she's not particularly technological. So it was kind of fun to do that. We all gathered around, we took a bunch of pictures. It was a lot of fun. Over the years, I've thought about that evening in relation to Mary, and I realized that that evening perfectly describes who she is. Mary is a woman who is willing to work hard for her achievements. Mary believes in herself. Mary's passionate about her ideas. She's willing to try new things. And most of all, Mary takes joy in life, and she works really hard to bring that joy to other people. So thank you for listening to my story. And thank you, Mary, for who you are and what you've given to me and what you've given to the arts community in Nashua. You're priceless and amazing, and I love you.
Hi, Mary. We're so excited to be part of your life and having you part of our art journey. You truly have inspired us, and we are so grateful to have met you, to have known you, and to build such a wonderful friendship with you.
Thank you for everything you do in the community and for helping so many individuals in the art community. We love you, Mary.
Hi, Kathy Hersh here to tell you a story about Meri Goyette. Back in 2007, I was the Community Development Director for the City of Nashua, and I got a call from Mary. She was determined that I should go with her to go visit Andres Institute of Art in Brookline and go meet with John. I knew, knowing Mary, that that would only cause me to have another project, and I just did not have time for another project, so I avoided going. I put it off, excuses. I sent one of my staff. She came back and she said, "Oh, you've got to go. It's just so great." And I kept trying to put it off, but you cannot put off Mary. Mary is a force to be reckoned with, and we are so fortunate she is. So finally in October of 2007, I went with Mary to meet with John Weidman at Andres Institute. And of course, as soon as I saw all the great art that is created at Andres as part of his symposium, I was hooked. We have to have this for Nashua. This is fantastic. This is wonderful, which is exactly what Mary knew would happen. So that is how the Sculpture Symposium started. We started meeting at Mary's house, and she helped to pull together a lot of people for our committee. And she was also and continues to be very supportive of the symposium, sponsoring sculptures, etc. So I am very, very proud to know Mary, and I am very glad that she is such a tenacious and heartwarming person, and she is our Queen of Arts.
Hi, Liz.
Hi, Margie.
How are you?
I'm just fine on this nice fall evening.
Well, we're going to make a video to talk about Meri Goyette. Are you all right with that?
I love Meri Goyette.
Oh, well, good.
Meri Goyette's my spirit animal.
No. All right. Well, I'm going to ask you a few questions, if you don't mind, and if you can say anything you like as we go along.
Anything?
Well, now you sound like Mary.
See?
How did you meet Mary?
That was back in the day when a scrappy bunch of us started City Arts Nashua. It would have been, I want to say 15 years ago, 2005. And you were one of the founders. I was one of the founders. Jay Minkarah at the time was the business development director of Nashua, and he saw the need for the arts to come together. So he started, kind of kicked off the Randy Band, and in doing the work that we did to kind of kick off arts in Nashua, Mary was an obvious player, and that's how I met her in her, highly motivated ways of getting things moving. She helped us a lot in City Arts Nashua.
I'm wondering if you could tell me, for all the time that you've worked with Mary, what was her biggest impact on you, personally or professionally?
So Mary goes back probably 60 or 70 years. She felt the passion for art, and she never gave it up. And I think that her, consistent focus on arts and where it took her is probably the thing that inspired me the most, because arts is not easy. I mean, what I first thought about the arts was it would be very pleasant to be in that kind of environment all the time, but there's a lot of challenges. Sometimes the arts are the last thing people think about funding or paying attention to, because there's all these things that get in the way that you need to do, or you're, just don't have time for. And I think that she inspired me to keep going. And I haven't gone nearly as far as she has, but just to keep the focus on the arts and to, just keep on tuning it and keep on talking to new people and keep on meeting, new people that are both promoting it and also making art, because artists are incredibly creative, wonderful people. So I would say she really inspired me that way.
What's the funniest story you have about working with Mary?
It's like hard to figure out just one, but back some years ago, Mary always was walking with a cane, and the cane wasn't always used for walking. The cane would come out when she wanted to, get someone to move a little faster. She would use it to get attention if somebody wasn't focusing quite enough on what she was saying. It was a true prop. She was an artist with that cane. There's so many funny stories about her, though. She is just a truly humorous individual, and it's very, very open. The minute you show interest or motivation in that way, to promoting either one of her efforts or something that resonates with her, she's all over it and all over you, and you've got a companion there to make it happen.
Yeah. What's the biggest or most important lesson you've learned from her?
Again, it's hard to figure out just one, but she's somebody who she doesn't really judge. Everyone who is willing to participate is on her team. She's done so many things and just gathered together people, sometimes right on the fly. When downtown businesses had empty storefronts, she rounded people up, both artists and people who could help her pull it off, and put art in the windows. Remember that?
Yeah, that was amazing.
And then she would put together what I would think would be a pretty major scope of a show, like these pop-up sculpture shows she used to do at 30 Temple Street. And she would fill 2 or 3 floors just networking and getting people to work with her. And she would pull off and make it look easy, some of these really, really major events. So I got a lot of inspiration from that.
Thank you so much.
My pleasure. I have a little something that I wanted to show everybody, that when you're friends with Mary, every now and again you'll get something in the mail, a letter, or you'll get a poster. And this was one of the ones that Mary gave me. And as per usual, as you pointed out, Margie, sometimes they're a little risque. That's 2 naked people, and it says, "When I get old, I don't want people thinking, what a sweet little old lady. I want them saying, oh crap, what is she up to now?" That pretty much sums up our Mary.
Oh, we love her.
I think what pops out to me the most is really the kind of memory that I think a lot of people have. With Mary, it's just randomly running into Mary downtown somewhere and her pulling me aside and telling me about this great new idea and initiative that she was going to launch. And sure enough, she always seemed to succeed, whether it was a new mural or it was another, or it was, launching the sculpture symposium. I remember hearing that idea and thinking, wow, that sounds so, difficult to pull together, so far-fetched, and yet, it happened, and it was that kind of interest and passion that I just loved. But it was, in particular, I think, I just loved that randomness of running into Mary and the energy and the great ideas that would come from it. It helped to stimulate me and always kept me on my toes. So.
Was she one of the inspirations for you even taking on City Arts Nashua when you first kicked that off?
Well, in many ways, yes. Because long before I met Mary, I knew I knew about Mary. I knew Mary through reputation. But I think, without question, she's one of the people who led me to believe, what the possibilities really were, and that we really could make these kinds of things happen, because Mary's a doer. She's more than just a doer. She's also has that ability and will to pull people together to help make things happen.
Yeah. Do you have a particular project that's a favorite of yours that she was kicking off or involved in?
Honestly, I think that, my memories of Mary, I know are not unique to me, but, less of a project, but I think one of the things that just really stands out at me, for those who remember, back when the city was looking to sell the Chandler building, the branch library on Main Street, and Mary coming to a Board of Aldermen meeting dressed as the ghost of Mrs. Chandler. Working for the city at that time, to me, that really sums up Mary. It was such an audacious and dramatic thing to do, and sure enough, it had the impact. It had the desired impact.
It absolutely did. That's a perfect story. Now, is there anything that you want to leave as a message to Mary from you?
Just said, Mary, I wish I had the chance to see you more often, and I know that sometimes I'm a little bit elusive, a little bit in the background, but I really do cherish you so dearly, and this city just would never be the same without you, and I look forward to seeing what you're going to come up with next.
I'm MaryAnn Melizzi-Golja, and I first met Mary when I was a new alderwoman for Ward 8 for the city of Nashua, and we were doing planning. And as part of our quadrant meetings, we were asking people to put down what they thought should be the goals for the city. And as I walked around tables, many people had things like better roads and better schools. And I got to the table where Mary was, and Mary had pages of diagrams about the arts and why we needed to support the arts and develop the arts, and how arts would improve the quality of life in Nashua. And I was impressed because I could see she was obviously passionate about the arts and really didn't care if other people shared her vision or not. She was going to move forward and spread the word. Fast forward several years later, and I'm chairing a meeting, and Judy Carlson comes in with a rolled up piece of paper and hands it to me as if it's an edict coming from the Queen, and says, "Meri Goyette would like you to read this." And I said, sure, no problem. So we get into the meeting, it's time for public comment, and I unroll the paper and read Mary's comments once again about the importance of the arts and celebrating the arts in Nashua. And since that time, Mary and I have had many conversations about the arts, the future of the arts, and how the arts not only improve the quality of life for the people directly impacted, but also for the community as a whole. And then as part of those conversations, we've turned to another part of what someone might say is the arts, and it would be the culinary arts, and we discovered we share a love for fresh mortadella. So Mary, here's to you, here's to the arts, and I promise you some fresh mortadella soon. Love you.
We love Mary.
We totally love Mary. And we both go back a long way with Mary, but do you remember your first meeting or the first time you saw Mary or got to know her?
I met Mary a couple times very casually in some group settings, but my first really true meeting Mary and working with her was with the Sculpture Symposium.
The Sculpture Symposium.
Yes. Mary talked the Andres Institute and John Weidman into coming over to Nashua and doing a symposium here. And every year they've been making 3 sculptures, inviting sculptors to come, and the sculptures are gifted to the city as permanent public artworks.
That's brilliant. How many years has the Sculpture Symposium been in existence?
I'm not entirely sure, but I think it's at least 13 years.
Yeah, it's a long time.
Does that sound about right?
I think it does. I was going to guess 10, but I think it's probably been more.
Yeah, it's
like you say.
Really been an amazing. And I've met so many people through that, and of course with City Arts Nashua too.
Yeah, City Arts Nashua has had a big play in all of the Maryhood.
Yes. Mary is full of ideas, and she loves to tell us what needs to happen. And that's what I love about her. She's such a visionary, and she's always like, we've got to do this, and we've got to do that, and we've got to do these things. And, you know, there's always a little pressure when you're talking to Mary about these things.
She has passion, that's why.
Yes. But we know in the back of our minds that, yeah, all those things have to get done. And slowly, through that time since I've known Mary, many of those things have unfolded and have happened. It's been really awesome to see more and more people get to know Mary, more and more people get involved in the art scene in Nashua, and just to see this whole kind of culture in the city of people supporting the arts and enjoying the local artists and our artists being seen and recognized around town. It's been fabulous.
She's a catalyst.
Yes, she is.
So of all of the experiences you've had with her, do you have any particular things that you feel she's influenced in you the most?
Well, if you go back to that idea of that there's so much to do and we don't have any money most of the time.
Yeah.
And I said to Mary, how do you manage to do this? How do you manage to get all these things done? And she said to me, you can ask for anything, as long as you're not asking for yourself.
Yeah.
And I've taken that to heart whenever I've had to ask somebody for something. I also put it in my imagination, kind of when I wish for more than what we're asking for. Not that it makes me ask for more, but it kind of inspires my imagination to think about what could be possible. And if we asked for anything, what would we get? That doesn't mean I'd necessarily go ask for that right now, but it gives me ideas of where we could be and where we could go at some point in the future. And that gives me energy to kind of keep going. And
she has boundless energy.
Yes,
she just
does.
Keeps on going. So,
she actually told me that in the context of talking about her artists in Boston that she used to represent.
Oh, yeah.
And that work was really amazing to me. She was bored, if you can imagine.
I can't.
And she went down to Boston and talked to the Meridian Hotel and asked them if she could put on art shows for local artists to sell their works. And they said yes. And they also got British Airways to sponsor the shows. And the hotel and British Airways provided all the food for these elaborate receptions with these amazing artists who ended up making a living from what they were selling out of these shows. And Mary has a really great eye. She was able to pick out good artists and get them publicity and notoriety, and some of them launched their careers from the work she did. So that just kind of blows my mind, what one person can do if they put their mind to something, and also the potential of what you can ask for. You never know. That's like the worst thing that could happen is somebody might say no. And that's not even a bad thing, because the potential for people to say yes can make everything work.
So true. Well, what would you like to leave as a thought for Mary to just take with her from you?
I have enjoyed every minute I've spent with Mary. She's just such a kind, warm, loving person. I've been to her house for lunch so many times. She always insists on feeding me, no matter what time of day it is. And she has the best sense of humor. And I just appreciate all of her kindness, her warmth, her support, her generosity, and her inspiration. And she always made me laugh. She always made me feel like I could do a little more, and I could do it. And it gave me courage and inspiration to just keep going.
We hope you enjoyed learning what an incredible asset Meri Goyette is to the Nashua arts community. This video really does demonstrate how much one person can do. Without Meri, the creative landscape of Nashua would be so much less colorful. To quote John F. Kennedy, one person can make a difference, and everyone should try. So whatever your area of passion is, just try, even a little, to make a difference. And thank you so much for watching. I'm Mike Morin. Stay well, and don't forget to stop and look at the art. Oh, and smell the roses while you're at it, and watch out for the bees. Ow!
Thank you for joining our virtual art. City Arts Nashua appreciates the support of our sponsors and you, our viewers. Please continue to support our local artists and our musicians and theater groups. For more information on arts in Nashua, please visit cityartsnashua.org.